Welcome to our Journey to Independence number 2. We did a video the other night, and we ended with the Articles of Confederation, and we ended with the Articles of Confederation that everybody's looking at right now. The particular one that we're looking at here is a whereas the delegates of the United States of America, and if you'll notice, it'll have the lowercase t, the United States of America in Congress assembled. So when people see that particular Articles of Confederation, they'll think, well, that's the same entity that the United States of America is in the Constitution. So when they do that, they'll think right off from the beginning is, well, the United States of America was right here. So obviously, this entity was there since the beginning. Well, that's all good and well until you look at the date. It says July 9th, 1778. The Articles of Confederation were not ratified by all of the states until 1781. Back then, people weren't able to move as quickly as they do now, so it took them 3 or 4 years for it to get to all the delegates and get everybody to read it and then sign it and all that kind of thing. When they ended up with was this one here, which that paragraph was completely removed. So this paragraph here and this entity was removed from the completed Articles of Confederation. If you want me to do this, I'll do this. You can go to the previous image, and what you'll see is the title of the book, and then you'll go to the next image, and you'll notice that it starts out Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union by and between the states of New Hampshire, blah, 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 and then it just starts out with Article 1, the style of this Confederacy shall be the United States of America. Nothing like this one here. So the point being that if the delegates back then remove that entity from the Articles of Confederation, you need to listen to them, because we'll show you something else here in a minute. And the reason why you need to listen to them is, Stu, you can bring up the Treaty of Paris.
Stand by.
I'll go ahead and stop sharing. Okay, and there it is. Okay, and there's the Treaty of Paris. And you have the elector. In other words, it goes to, in case you didn't see the first video, you'll at least see this one again, between the United States of America and His Britannic Majesty. We'll look at the entity between the United States of America. There's that same entity. Now keep in mind, folks, that that entity did not have a constitution until 1789. So when it says in the name of the most holy and undivided Trinity, and then it goes down, it gives them all his, having pleased divine providence to dispose of the hearts of the most serene and most potent Prince George of the Third. They really like to build themselves up in documents. By the grace of God, King of Great Britain, France and Ireland, Defender of the Faith, Duke of Brunswick and Lundsburg, Arch-Treasurer and Prince-Elector of the Holy Roman Empire, etc., and of the United States of America. So His Britannic Majesty was the Arch-Treasurer of that particular entity. And if he was the Arch-Treasurer of that entity, go ahead and stop sharing. Okay. I'll start sharing. And it'll make sense why they removed that paragraph, whereas the delegates of the United States of America in Congress assembled. If he was the arch treasurer, this paragraph right here. And this was the final copy. And you could see where they removed the whole thing. So that tells you something, that even though a revolution was going on, they tried to get in that way during the revolution, and then after the revolution was over in 1781, when it was all said and done, they removed it completely and said, okay, that's it. We've had enough of you guys. All you're doing is you're trying to take our idea, you're trying to take our country name, you're trying to do this and trying to do that. It's not going to happen here. Now, if you have any reservations at what we're saying is the truth, then we can go ahead and jump forward to the Civil War, because the Confederation Party and the 1781 Articles of Confederation was 100 years before the Civil War. So just keep in mind that we are not trying to bring back the Confederate States of America, which was in during the Civil War. Keep in mind we're not doing that, because the Confederate States of America was illegal, and that's not who we are. So when you hear Confederation Party, it has nothing to do with Confederate Party or the Confederate States of America and trying to keep bring slavery back. That's not what we're doing. Okay, so what happened in South Carolina and what caused the 1867 Civil War, this was 100 years later, is an ordinance was written by South Carolina. It says here, we the people of the state of South Carolina in convention assemble, do declare and ordain, is hereby declared and ordained, that the ordinance adopted by us in convention on the 23rd day of May in the year of our Lord 1788, whereby the Constitution of the United States of America was ratified. See the entity right there? That's the same entity. Okay? And also all acts and parts of acts of the General Assembly of the state ratifying amendments to the state constitution are hereby repealed, and that the Union now subsisting between South Carolina and the other states are under the name of the United States of America. Look at that. Is hereby resolved. Anybody can go look at it if they want to read that section. Here's the source link right here, and this is on reignoftheheavens.com, 1176, and the title is Insurrection and Rebellion in All of the United States. So the Union under the name of the United States of America. Right there. That entity never left. Now, if you want to know why that is, we can go over here where it says International Public Notice to the South, Central, and North American States. And if you go down this particular section, this is also on the reignoftheheavens.com, you'll see Samuel L. Miloszuski and Darla against Sears, Roebuck and Company. And basically what it was Sears and Roebuck broke into the guy's house. It was a 1972 case. They broke into the guy's house to get a TV that he owed money on. And that's all it was. But at the bottom of that particular case, you will see this particular paragraph in the above name reference, which was right here. I'm sorry. Let me get that there. Which was right here in the above reference case that says it all. It reads, the first point that must be made is that despite the vast growth of corporate power, the courts, except in the area of racial discrimination, have failed to hold that corporations are subject to the Bill of Rights. A mere statement of this fact may not seem very significant. Corporations, after all, are not supposed to exercise the governmental powers in which the Bill of Rights was concerned. But this has been radically changed in the emergence of public-private state. Now keep in mind, there's an emergence of the public-private state. This never existed before. Corporations are creating this. Okay, this is not a state judicial or basically a state or condition. There should never be a public-private state. It says today private institutions do exercise governmental power, more indeed than government itself. We have two governments in America, then one under the Constitution and a much greater one not under the Constitution. And the greater one not under the Constitution was the original one, which was the government of the United States of America. It's very simple to realize that there are, in fact, two governments. And when we went back in 2010 and claimed the metes and bounds of the United States of America, that was wait a minute. That was this, the United States of America, and then claimed the General Post Office. We hit on something that wasn't really expected, and nor was it even planned to do that. It just happened. So, in fact, you have the government of the United States of America, and if anybody wants to go to this, they can go to that link. There is a source link there, and there is a source link, I believe, for this case here. That's the link right here, just under the case. You can go look at that link, and then you'll see this paragraph down below, and then you can read what the case is about if you want to do that. But the U.S. is, in fact, subject to the Bill of Rights. The United States of America is not. That being said, we need to go over to the General Post Office section. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. I'll get rid of this link, this link. And Stu, if you can go ahead and I'll stop sharing. If you can go ahead and bring up the line of succession of the General Post Office.
Stand by.
Okay, we'll go ahead and bring that up. This is the ledger of Dr. Benjamin Franklin. Now, this particular ledger, keep in mind, was in a fire in the late 1800s, and it was rescued from the fire. Somebody tried to destroy this ledger, and there was a very good reason why they did that. It says here that Dr. Franklin, on the 7th of November, 1776, is that correct? You can see that better than I can.
Yes, that's correct.
That was 1776?
As best I can read, yes.
Okay. Was succeeded as Postmaster General by his relative, Richard, I think it's Burke or Bach. I think it's Bach, if I can remember right, who remained in office to the 28th of January, 1782, when he was succeeded by Ebenezer Hazard, who was the last head of the General Post Office under the Confederacy. Now notice the General Post Office is even spelled out General Post Office, upper and lowercase letters. Keep in mind that Benjamin Franklin was only Postmaster General for 1 year. He was given the position in 1775, and they had him succeeded in 1776. He was only in for 1 year. And Richard Bach took it until 1782. Now look at the wording there. It says succeeded. So there's a line of succession there. It wasn't a voted. It wasn't a voter. Voted in position. It wasn't an election position. It wasn't a political decision or a position. It was it was succeeded. Now go down to the next line. It'll say in 1790. All of a sudden they jumped from 1782 to Ebenezer Hazard. Boom, 1790. They completely skip everything else, and this is in his ledger. It says there was something post offices throughout the United States, and 1,875 miles of the something there. Can you read that? Can you bring that down a little bit, because I can't see it?
Yes, I'll bring it down and I can read it if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
In 1790, there were but 75 post offices throughout the United States and but 1,875 miles of post routes. The General Post Office in the year 1790 was located in New York, and Samuel Osgood of Massachusetts was the first PM General, abbreviation Postmaster General, under the federal government.
Okay, so it says clearly in there that Samuel Osgood did not succeed Ebenezer Hazard. So there's a break in the line of succession. And when you have a break in the line of succession, you lose chain of title. From 1776 or 1775, I'm sorry, it was 1774 that the Articles of Association were written. And then 1775, the Congress came together, Continental Congress, and appointed a Postmaster General. 1776, they wrote the Declaration of Independence. 1781, they ratified the Articles of Confederation. They had a line of succession, just in the above paragraph. Go ahead and back up again. There was a clear line of succession from 1776 all the way to Ebenezer Hazard. Then all of a sudden it breaks. George Washington didn't use the General Post Office. The General Post Office was stolen and sent to New York, basically, to keep that line of succession. And Ebenezer Hazard was never succeeded after that. He died in 1817. Never succeeded. So when you have that break, and well, he wasn't succeeded back then. He's been succeeded now, but not back then, for almost 150 years. So this is the funny part about this. Go ahead and stop sharing. All right, I'll go ahead and share screens. When we put this up in the newspaper, go ahead and pop that in. There we go. When we put that that fact in the newspaper explaining that Megan Brennan, her line of succession started with Samuel Osgood, they added in, for some reason, this wasn't there. We put this notice out, and they added this 1639 section right here. Richard Fairbanks Tavern in Boston named repository for overseas mail, which has no significance whatsoever to the claim of Benjamin Franklin appointed the first Postmaster General under the Continental Congress. That's what they put in here. Okay? And they put this in here. 1777, the Continental Congress authorized appointment of an inspector of dead letters. However, this is where their line of succession starts, right here. Samuel Osgood in 1789. They broke the line of succession from Benjamin Franklin. So to put the 1639 Richard Fairbanks Tavern in Boston named repository for overseas mail makes no difference whatsoever, because they broke the line of succession from Richard Bach and Ebenezer Hazard. So it went from Benjamin Franklin to Richard Bach to Ebenezer Hazard. They should have that here in this section. If they were truly if the federal government truly replaced the original Confederation of 1781. It obviously didn't, because they won't go on record and say it was Benjamin Franklin, Richard Bach, Richard Bach and Ebenezer Hazard, and then Samuel Osgood. They know for a fact that that's not true. They know for a fact that there was no succession, and there was a broken chain of title. So if you have a property deed under this particular chain of title, you're going to owe debt. You're going to owe all kinds of things. If you have a title under this particular chain of title, which would be Benjamin Franklin, Richard Bach, and Ebenezer Hazard, then it was seceded. It was seceded again, not seceded, but yeah, succeeded again. Then you would your title should be clear. You should have a good chain of title all the way back to the Declaration of Independence on your property titles. So that's what we do here. Well, all we're doing is we're shoring up the chain of title. We're connecting we connected the Declaration of Independence with the entities to the Articles of Confederation of 1781, so that the Declaration of Independence had Articles of Confederation, and the Articles of Confederation had Declaration of Independence. And then we completed this line of succession from Benjamin Franklin, Richard Bach, and Ebenezer Hazard, and now it's been seceded today. So, and you can go to generalpostoffice.international. That is, in fact, the original General Post Office. Is there anything I missed, guys?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of either.
That we didn't cover last time?
Nope. Seems clear the fix was in.
Right. So when we just keep in mind, folks, when you're watching this, chain of title is everything. Just like we talked about in the first video, chain of title is everything. If you have a break, most of the children today are being taught you had Benjamin Franklin, the Declaration of Independence, boom, Constitution of the United States. They completely miss almost 10 years. When you have a break in your chain of title like that, it's not a true title. You have to complete the chain of title in order for it to work. So that's why the people that are calling themselves American nationals took oaths and affirmations to this government, and the other government, basically the other United States, is what we are. There's 3 United States in this country, by the way. One of them is our government. One is a corporation, and one is a city-state, which is the District of Columbia. So keep that in mind. And if you're not attached to one or the other, the corporation or the city-state is going to snatch you up. The corporation is based in Manhattan Island. Manhattan Island is a foreign country. It's under the Netherlands, the king. The U.S. city-state is the military branch of the 3 city-state empire, which is the City of Washington, City of London, Vatican City. So when this government is saying we're foreign, okay, we're foreign to Manhattan Island. and were foreign to the city-state, because the city-state is independent. It's an independent nation, country. And Manhattan Island is an independent country. So the states need to come back to the original union. That's the problem we're having. The states need to come back to the original union. And if they don't, they're still, and they're subjecting themselves to an American society that was placed in there by the monarchs of Europe, Vatican City, and Manhattan Island. It's only a society. It's not a. There's no nationality there. They'll tell you you're a citizen of the society, and that's it. They won't tell you that you're a citizen of the United States. Great, wonderful. Where is the United States? Well, there's one in Manhattan Island. There's one in the U.S. city-state, called the city of Washington, D.C., and then there's the original one, which is the United States under the government of the United States of America. If our registrar does not have record of you as a citizen of one of the states, or a citizen of the, an American national, claiming a nationality, then you have not completed your way out. You cannot do a declaration that says, "Oh, I'm an American national." It doesn't. It's not done by declaration. It's done by oath and affirmation and naturalization. So those people that call themselves U.S. citizens, think about it this way. If that particular case in 1972, going back to the Sears and Roebuck case, and it says that the corporations are subject to the Bill of Rights, and the United States corporation is doing business as a corporation, and it's subject to the Bill of Rights, that means the U.S. citizens are subject to the Bill of Rights. It didn't mean they were protected by them. It means they're subjected to it. They have to abide by the restrictions of the Bill of Rights when coming against somebody within the government of the United States of America or an American national. Those are your restrictions. So if you don't want to be subject to that, claim a nationality. The evidence is clear. It's right there in front of you. I don't know how else that we can, how clear we can make it. Now, before we stop this broadcast, guys, is there anything that you want to say?
I could ask. I'm taking notes. I could ask you one more time to cover the 3 United States entities.
Okay.
One more time.
One was the original United States, which was the United States in Congress assembled, which is still in full force today. The other one was the U.S. corporation. I'm sorry, the United States Corporation, which does business out of Manhattan Island and the Bank of New York. The other one is the U.S., U.S., and that's the military branch, which is the city-state of the city of Washington, D.C. So if you're not in the military, and you're not subject to a monarch, which is that's who runs that corporation, it does business as the United States Corporation, then you're either stateless or you claim a nationality. Stateless meaning, well, people will say, well, we have people will come back and say, we have was it guaranteed or citizenship? What's that term? Birthright citizenship. There is no such thing. That is a complete lie. You have to claim a nationality or take an oath and affirmation to something by the time you were 21. If you do not, you remain a subject. If you remain a subject of the monarch of the Netherlands, then and the empire, then you are stateless. And therefore you are subject to the Bill of Rights. You are not protected by the Bill of Rights.
Perhaps we could do a short video on Reconstruction Acts for the oath.
Right, and why they have to do it. Why they were required to do it, They had to take an oath, and they became subject to the U.S. Constitution when they did that. If they had not left the Union under the United States of America, they would not have, the Civil War would have never happened. So we've got some good videos coming up. We'll show you where the entity, the United States of America, comes up again. It comes up in the 1874 Postal Union Treaty. And it keeps showing up here and there, you know, throughout history in the history books. And people just are told, oh, well, the Constitution replaced that, and there's no more Articles of Confederation. It's absolutely not true, guys. It's there. It always has been there. And what the American Nationals did today, have done so far, is get those chains of title back in place. That's how you restore government. Anything else?
I believe that pretty much covers it.
Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to another video at a future day certain. Thank you for listening, guys. I hope that that you learned something today, and I hope that this broadcast here helps you understand when you see that logo there, General Post Office, you'll know exactly where that General Post Office comes from and what its chain of title is. We'll see you next time.